Our Shared Ocean podcast brings you stories of lived experience from across the world as part of Ireland's response to the environmental and economic challenges facing many small island developing states. These proud island nations are on the front line in tackling climate change issues and are supported by Ireland in this critical battle by the Our Shared Ocean programme, a funding initiative by the Government of Ireland delivered by Irish Aid and the Marine Institute.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Our Shared Ocean podcast, where we discuss the pressing environmental and economic issues facing small island developing states with international researchers. These island nations are on the front line in terms of climate change and face rising sea levels, increasingly frequent storm surges, biodiversity loss, and in some cases do not have the necessary resources to tackle them effectively. My name is David O'Sullivan, Programme Manager for Our Shared Ocean, which is a funding initiative by Irish Aid and the Marine Institute of Ireland to build research partnerships between Ireland and developing nations and help develop capacity in marine research around the world. I'm very pleased to welcome Arsenia Ximenes de Cruz from Timor-Leste to the Our Shared Ocean podcast studio today. Timor-Leste, or previously known as East Timor, a Southeast Asian nation occupying half the island of Timor, is ringed by coral reef and teeming with marine life. Arsenia is here to tell us a little bit about it. Arsenia has a degree in environmental science and environmental management, a passion for sustainable development, having worked for more than 7 years in climate change adaptation and mitigation. She has experience in research in coastal and river waste management in Timor-Leste and has assisted government and private sector in climate change adaptation and environmental project planning and development. Arsenia is currently based in the University of Galway, where she's undertaking a PhD research project focused on climate change adaptation in Ireland and Timor-Leste through co-developing frameworks for nature-based solutions, and her project is funded by Our Shared Ocean. Hello, Arsenia. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? How is everyone?
I'm very good. Thanks very much. We're delighted to have such an esteemed guest from Timor-Leste in the studio today. I'm very interested to hear about your work and your project, but first I thought we'd like to hear a little bit about Timor-Leste. A lot of people listening probably don't know where it is or much about life on that island. Would you mind telling us a little bit about life there?
All right, then. Well, I will start with where is Timor-Leste? Timor-Leste, or previously known as East Timor, is a small island country located in Southeast Asia and the Pacific. And you can see from the map, Timor-Leste is situated in the southern east part of Indonesian archipelago, and also the northwest of Australia, and also to the east side is the Papua New Guinea. And Timor-Leste has 1.3 million people, which is very small, and compared to Ireland, and the total area is just 14,000 square kilometers. And the people are there living mostly as a subsistence agriculture and farming, and also although we depend most on our oil and gas as our own main income. And I live in the capital city of Timor-Leste, Dili, and it's where the center of economic development and the center of education and businesses. And Timor-Leste is known for its natural beauty of landscape, beautiful beaches and coral reefs, and all the mountain ranges and the high marine biodiversity, because it's the position of the island itself in the Wallis Sea, the most biodiversity marine ecosystem. You can have a look at the beautiful pictures here.
Oh yeah, hold on.
So
is that before we get to the pictures? It's in the Coral Triangle, is that right?
Yes, I'm going to explain that. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So Timor-Leste is part of the Coral Triangle because of its position in the Southeast Asia and the Pacific, and within the other six countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea, and Timor-Leste included, and also the Solomon Island to the Pacific, because this part of the Coral Triangle has been the most marine. It has high marine biodiversity, so it is the hotspot for the all beautiful coral reefs and the reef building corals, as you can see in the pictures. And that's the beautiful pictures of Cristo Rey, or the Jesus Christ, the Lord, that we have the beautiful statue in our yeah, just in the capital city of Delhi. Yep.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I can see the images of the water there, turquoise waters, and very beautiful, diverse coral
Yes.
reef. And what is the state of the coral reef at the moment as regards pollution or marine heat waves? Is it still there in good condition, a good percentage of cover?
Yes, I will say that this is still in a good condition. We believe that we don't have a lot, but the climate change, the ocean acidification is starting to threaten the beautiful corals, the coral bleaching. So now that more research has been done at home for the coral reefs, especially from the government, and also part of the some agencies that really helping on the beautiful
Yeah, the beautiful reef.
corals. Yeah.
Because it's very important,
Mm-hmm.
coral reef, as you know, and maybe you can tell us a bit about that for coastal mitigation or coastal protection. It's a natural barrier to the likes of storm surges and waves and things like this. It protects the coastline in many ways. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Although we currently facing a lot of climate change impacts such as flooding, flash flooding, landslide as well, and then it has been very high vulnerable to the climate change impacts. That's why the coastal adaptation and all the mitigation needs to improve the biodiversity and also the community resilience within the coast zone. Yeah.
And just before we move on, if you don't mind, you mentioned the oil and gas exploration. Is there a high proportion of that or a large amount of that in your waters, international waters around Timor-Leste?
It's in the Timor Sea. It is in the Timor Sea, but currently we are still working to find. But it's not only part of the Timor, but it's more on the south part, the Timor Sea. If you can find the map for that, but then it's on the exploration with Australia, the partnership with the joint venture with Australia. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's the Timor Sea's in the south of Timor-Leste, and it's the strait between
Yes. Yeah. To
Australia
the south.
and
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, very good. And yeah, I can see
Yeah.
from the map
In
there
Timor. Yeah.
Sulawesi and the Sulawesi Sea. So you're there towards near Indonesia, towards the end of the Malay Peninsula. Okay, very interesting. So tell us then a little bit about what happened to Dili and what happened to Timor-Leste in, I believe it was 2021.
Yes, it was Cyclone Seroja that hit almost a part of the Southeast Asia, not only Timor-Leste, but also part of Australia and also the Indonesia. The Cyclone Seroja itself had started like 2 days of raining, a heavy rain, a heavy storm, and also the flash flooding that impacted most of the infrastructure. We have we got like very damaged, and the recovery cost is almost like half a billion $1 million USD. So we lost of our roads, our bridges, and some of the houses were under the water. So that was very devastating, and we have some fatalities as well, and some of loss of life. So that's very bad. Like, it's devastating impact to the small island nation like Timor Leste. And from there, the government has been worked very hard to increase the capacity of community to the resilience of climate change and its impacts. Yeah.
So how to protect the coast or build coastal resilience strategies, because I guess you said there's only 1.3 million
Yeah.
people in Timor-Leste. A lot of those probably live
Mhm.
on or near the coast, and a lot of the large urban developments like Dili is on or near the coast. So if these storm surges come in and they have the capacity to affect quite a lot of people.
Yes, that is why right now that we have our own national adaptation plan for the aim is just for people to adapt better, to have the resilience to the climate change, especially for the coastal community, and also for them not only just live there, but then they are the ones that have to adapt and then become resilient to the climate change itself, and then be more aware of the impacts of climate change, especially in this small island nation, because our the infrastructure, the urban planning, and everything is has to be integrated for the coastal management itself. Yeah.
And so you worked in this. You worked with the government in the Centre for Climate Change in Dili there, which I
Yes.
think are
Yes.
part of the Ministry of the Environment, and also private sectors in to bring about these climate change
Yeah.
adaptations and environmental protection planning.
Hmm.
So what was your role in that, or how does that look? Is there a lot of stakeholder communicate or engagement? You have to work with a lot of local communities, or is it a case of investigating best practice, international
Yeah.
procedures for doing this type of thing, or
Yeah, so basically, my latest work with the government was in the development of national strategic plan for the next 15 years, and especially for the in the environmental protection and climate change adaptation. So, for the short term plan, for the medium term, and also long term plan. That's why it comes in when with the climate change adaptation. We have the policies, we have the law, we have all the existing laws and policies to adapt to the climate change. And then we also adhere to the United Nations Framework for Climate Change Convention. Also, we have all those things, but then we need to get into the local level where the community are the most impacted from this climate change. And also from there, it requires me in more depth of research and also more practices that needs to be done. That's why it comes to the nature-based solutions. So the government wants to go back to the nature. What can nature? If you protect the nature, and then the nature will protect you. That's why now working really hard towards the nature-based solution, and also the community are the ones that going to responsible and then take action into this to adapt better and become resilient to climate change.
so it's working with nature, as you said there, but maybe stressing the importance of that with local communities
Yeah.
that are working with nature, and that could involve then, or does it
Mm-hmm.
involve, work with coral reefs and maybe sustainable development or sustainable
Mm-hmm.
fishing practices in coral reefs, so the coral reefs aren't destroyed. Is there mangroves in Timor-Leste?
Yes, we do have a mangrove protection. Currently, there are some, we have been working with also the non-government agencies, also the local communities and the youths, with also the ones that have the initiative to plant more mangroves because of the climate change, the sedimentation, and all the landslides. Then also the development itself in the infrastructure, especially in the Dili, the capital city itself. They are they have been experienced a threat to the mangrove itself. So the efforts is like to rehabilitate and restore all the mangrove protections back at home, and also the seagrass, and then all the coral reefs that needs to be replanted and then rehabilitated. Yeah.
Like, what do mangroves do specifically for the environment, I suppose, in terms of coastal protection?
Oh, mangrove protections. Oh, the type, I don't really know about the type, but yeah, we do have the specific ones back at home that we planted, and then those are the ones that along the coastal that you say, the in the capital cities.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess what I was getting at was that they're very important structures in when you mentioned sediment and erosion loss there. So they're very good at binding the sediment for a start, I think.
That's right.
So and that level of binding that sediment together is a protection in itself. And then if they're built up in large areas, or there's large mangrove forests along the coast, they can protect against storm surges, but they're often the first things to go really when development comes along, or urban development.
Yes.
You mentioned urban planning and urban development, and as going on in Dili at the moment. So those stretches of coastline protected by mangroves are often the first to go, but that then makes your whole coastal front line a lot more susceptible, and the problem is reinforcing the whole time.
Yes, and then trying to the government has been trying really hard to incorporate all the environmental impact assessment into if a company or the development in one of the places that near the coastal, then they really have to protect and then rehabilitate the mangrove or existing nature in there.
Yeah. So those nature-based solutions, then, as you said, are mangroves and the coral reefs too. So that framework has been developed by the government. So that's at a national political level. You've got the 15-year strategy in Timor-Leste, but often is it hard to bring this to the local communities? Did they normally follow different practices? And now you're saying, okay, guys, we have to take care of our coastline in different ways.
Yes.
Do you find that's a difficult conversation to have?
Well, everything, if it's from the government, then it's gonna be a top-bottom approach. That's why it's really hard to implement, especially with the lack of resources that you have. You like the finance itself, the logistics itself, and also the other resources that probably need, especially the human part. Also, it's really difficult to implement the strategy. But then when it comes to the people, to the community, they have their own knowledge. They have the local knowledge that they have been living with it. So I think from there, when these projects come in, I want to focus on the community itself there, because they are the ones that have been affected mostly, and they're the ones that have to take into actions and get.
Yeah, so it's really focused on as you said, the local knowledge in these communities, indigenous native communities, of which there's many here in Ireland too, that have worked and lived by the sea all for generations, and know essentially how to manage it in a healthy way. So it's just bringing the best out of that and working with those communities. So that would probably form quite a part of your work, or your stakeholder consultation in Timor-Leste with the Centre for Climate Change.
That is part of it. When we did our consultation for this development of the national strategic plan, we went to all of the stakeholders that will be affected and has the voice on it. We went for the farmers, we went for the all the people, the women, the youths, all the religious, all the parts of it, and also like from the government, non-government, and also all the private sectors that will look into the environmental protection itself and the climate change adaptation. How are we gonna adapt and mitigate all these the impacts from all the risk of climate change? So those are the plan that we had, but then yes, the government is still working with all of these limited resources. So it's quite hard to implement. Yes.
Hard to implement, limited resources, as you've said there. So there's a big chunk of work in doing that in itself. And just before we move on from that topic, can I just to get a bit of context, like these storm surges, Storm Seroja, that was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Seroja,
do they come around quite? Seroja, sorry. Do they come around quite often? Like, would there be an annual storm, or is it every 2 or 3 years? Was this one particularly bad?
Yeah, that was that the Cyclone Seroja was the worst that we had for the last like 10, 15 years. But currently that we experience the climate change, the impacts is like, even though it's just a year, or within a year, you can have like very heavy rainfall, and then we have a longer droughts, like dry seasons, and which is also impacting our agriculture as well. But also the monsoon season, when the rain comes with a very like heavy storm surges, and then affecting like all the agriculture side, even in the coastal area. And then yeah, that's when the landslides and the flooding occurs, and this becomes frequent for the last like 10 years. Every year you can experience, like in the capital city, there's gonna be, if it's rain for like an hour or two, there will be like flooding in the city. Yes.
Okay, so these events are happening, you think, potentially more frequently, maybe a little bit with more intensity, and each time the waves come
Yes,
and
that's
the
right.
excessive rainfall, they wash away the sediment, as we said, and suddenly the biological structures, which are, the first line of coastal
Hmm.
defence, really are being eroded. On top of that development, on top of that
Yeah.
lack of resources,
Yeah.
so there's a real issue. There's a real issue at the moment in Timor-Leste
It
in
is a
maintaining the
real issue.
coastline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were
Even though
working with
just
the
to
go
maintain
on.
the sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
just for the mangrove restoration itself, like it's really hard as well, because when really have to understand the process of it. Like, okay, we experience like very intense and frequent rainfall, very heavy rainfall, and then when it comes to rain, and then you plant the mangroves, and mangroves cannot survive with high salinity, and it's a real issue that for the biologists and all the conservationists to do that. And they have to really, like, it's a lot of work that have to do just to plant the mangroves, and mangroves takes time to grow. And that's why we have been like working with the non-government organization to increase the awareness of that, and then collect or ask for people to more like be aware of what's the issue is. Yeah.
Do you think there's a good network of committed scientists and researchers in the country?
It's very limited. Yeah. And also with the economic development, people are doing the best for living, but also, yeah, protecting the environment is, yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, it becomes, it's always important, but it becomes maybe less important to people if they have more pressing real life issues going on as regards, dealing with
Yeah.
these crises as they happen. So yeah, it's a self-fulfilling cycle almost. So Arsenia, you have a degree in environmental science, an honours degree in environmental science from, I believe, Australia, and a master's in environmental management taken in, I believe, a university in New Zealand. And you've worked in
Yep.
the Centre for Climate Change in Delhi, and you've worked with the local community, and you're working to implement a national strategy. So why did you come to Ireland?
So with all of the issue that they come, like climate change adaptation, I come to Ireland because I know that I need more knowledge, and I want, I have a passion in research. So I have been studying. I did my research on marine and coastal litter for the waste management, and also I did an evaluation on waste management. So at the back of my mind, I feel like, okay, this is what I need to do, because in order to have the framework or whatever I want to pursue, I think that getting a PhD in Ireland will help me gain all the knowledge, all the innovative ideas that I want to achieve. And then going back, and then from that, I will gain the skills, and then we'll go back to my country and then implement it, and then share with the people and all my fellow research back at home.
So your hope from this is to come over to Ireland, do this joint research project, with the University of Galway, and you want to learn and bring those learnings home and hopefully implement them. Amazing. So tell us about the project then. Localized. So your project, just for context, there was an application from yourselves in the University of Galway for this Our Shared Ocean project, which was a 3-year project, but you're working towards a PhD. Now, we don't technically fund PhDs. We have 3 years worth of study, and we'll see what happens in the last year of your studies, but you're now working in Galway towards a PhD, and we're able to work with you guys to provide funding for the initial 3 years. And you're looking at localized adaptation for climate change in Ireland and Timor-Leste, co-developing frameworks for nature-based solutions. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Firstly, actually, how long are you in Ireland now? A few months?
Almost 3 months now. I came in January, 17th of January, and now, April. So it's almost 3 months now.
Well, you're more than welcome. Tell us a little bit about
Thank you.
your project.
Yes, about the project itself. Well, first of all, I think I will talk a little bit about the Center for Climate Change and Biodiversity of Timor-Leste, where it's joined with the National University of Timor-Leste, and also now that I'm here working towards the project itself, the research project with the University of Galway, and the center itself has the aims to minimize the impact of climate change and improve biodiversity and climate resilience, also implementing the sustainable development policy for the country. So that's where I really wanted to have that partnering relationship with university back at home and also in University of Galway. And from that, we developed the project itself, the localized adaptation for climate change in Ireland and Timor-Leste. So it's the LOAD project. We wanted to investigate the application of good practice in adaptation implementation of methods that address these knowledge gaps that we have been identified back at home. And then also from there, the project itself, hopefully the outcome is to tailor a good practice and also the guidance on the key elements of the stages of the values and practices that inherent nature-based solutions. So from that, with the focus of adaptation, the project aims to develop learning comparison and also the co-producing, and also combines the creative and qualitative methodology, and also to support the outputs that are local and also will have immediate impact and influence in the communities back at home and also here in Ireland. So we will have a small number of case studies here in all of the coastal sites, for example, Donegal, Mayo, Sligo, and probably here in Galway itself, we're going to have that small case studies that we have the nature-based solutions adaptation that have been going on here with the local communities, with all of the knowledge that what have been done here. And then from that, we can adapt or we can tailor it and then adapt it to Timor-Leste's conditions and the context in Timor-Leste. So
that sounds excellent. So you've come from Timor-Leste and you are now going to go sample study sites or look at study sites in Sligo, Mayo, and Donegal. God bless us all. I don't know what relation those particular counties have with Dili, but that's fine. Based on the overall, though, Ireland being an island nation with local communities, have developed practices and local knowledge, and we're seeing what things are implemented in Ireland that could theoretically be rolled out and the kernel of the project developed. along the coastlines of Timor-Leste. There will be some study sites in Timor-Leste as well, I believe.
Yes. There will be a pilot study that we can do in Timor-Leste. We will be doing that and then make learning comparison, because by the look of Ireland and Timor-Leste, it has quite a different coastal landscape and characteristics. But from the nature-based solution itself, we will have a look at all the stages that maybe a location-specific adaptation measures that we can do here and also back at home in Timor-Leste.
And what's your understanding of some nature-based solutions that are already being implemented in Ireland, or is there any?
Well, right now that I have been through to the Inishbofin and also the Bertra beach that we went last week, and I think that local community are really taking action into it, and especially the beaches and the dunes. Although there's some threats to the dunes, but then the community itself working together to protect the dunes itself, but and also with the University of Galway, with the experts from my supervisors as well. So I think that nature-based solution it's a way to go. So I think it's really effective and in climate reducing the climate risk to the people, also for to the biodiversity itself, and also the dune ecosystems.
I think it's very interesting that it's not necessarily mangroves or coral reefs you're looking to protect, but it's just the understanding of how they do work, and the understanding of coastal protection, like sand dunes may have little in common with coral reefs, but they serve the function. So if we can make one learning here and apply it, it's exactly the learning process and the shared learning process that really is the focus of your study, as opposed to the engineering of coral reefs or mangroves. So it's the shared learning, and there's a transfer of knowledge inherent within this as well, which is also very important. It's not assuming that we know more in Ireland about coastal development or nature-based solutions, but really taking on board the learnings that you guys can bring as well, because there is this shared understanding that we can hopefully deliver.
Yes, that's
it, taking what we know and sharing it, and vice versa. So the LOAD project, localized adaptation for climate change, will run from January 2024. So you're just on site now. You're here in Galway. I'm actually in Galway, and I'm in the Marine Institute here, and I can see the University of Galway across the bay there. So we'll invite you out to the Marine Institute at some point. Arsenia, I'd love to see you out here, meet you. The project is running from January 2024 to December 26. The principal investigators, Dr. Kevin Lynch and Dr. Cathy Riley, based in the Geography Department at the University of Galway. The Our Shared Ocean project is funding this initiative for the first 3 years towards your studies, and we're hoping to come up to some agreement for the 4th year. But I've been very impressed by the way you've told your story today, Arsenia, the vital work that you're doing, your ambition to gain these key skills and knowledge, work towards a doctorate here in Ireland, and then potentially go back home and apply those learnings to Timor-Leste, with the real intention of helping Timor-Leste deal with its national strategy. So, well, congratulations to you. Well done.
Thank you very much for the opportunity from Marine Institute of Ireland as well for this. Otherwise, I will not I will not be here by now. But this is a very great opportunity for me to learn from the island nation of Ireland as well, and then apply it back to Timor-Leste.
Well, I definitely think we can learn from the island nation and of Timor-Leste as well, and we're very happy to have this research partnership between our two nations. So thank you very much for joining us today, Arsenia. It's been great to talk to you. I look forward to hearing more about the project, and maybe in a couple of weeks or months we can jump in. You can come back and maybe give us an update of how your project is going. Is there anything else, any other little things you'd like to leave us with? Any closing statement?
I think that I hope that Ireland will be kind to me, and then I think that from all these learning lessons I will bring back and finalize everything that I need to do here, and then bring all the good practices from Ireland, and then getting back to Timor with the PhD degree as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Arsenia. I hope you do find that Ireland is kind, and we look forward to these learnings. And as I said, you're welcome into the Marine Institute. So we'll catch up again, Arsenia. But for now, thanks very much for joining us in the Our Shared Ocean podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And more details of Arsenia's study can be found on the Our Shared Ocean website, oursharedocean.ie. Details of this project, and indeed many other projects that the Our Shared Ocean is funding in partnership with Irish Aid and the Marine Institute of Ireland. So it's goodbye from the Our Shared Ocean studio today. We'll see you again. See you, Arsenia. Bye.
The Our Shared Ocean podcast is a funding initiative by the Government of Ireland through Irish Aid and managed by the Marine Institute. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more like it. Subscribe, rate, and review on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Are you a marine scientist or student based in a small island developing state? Would you like to tell us about your research? Visit www.oursharedocean.ie and we'll see you in the next episode.